Here are 7 things you did not know about Douglas Luiz. 7 things about the Aston Villa midfielder that you definitely probably didn't know. And starting with Alicia Layman. Alicia Layman is Aston Villa women's star player, and a few months ago no one could identify who she was dating. All that was known as she was dating a Brazilian guy. No one expected Douglas Luiz. Well, guess what? It was Douglas Luiz. The Brazilian midfielder who plays regularly for the under-23s team and sometimes for the first team is the one lucky enough to be dating Alicia Layman, the star switch of Aston Villa women's team. And interestingly enough, could that be the reason Aston Villa have held on to Douglas Luiz? I have a theory here that if Alicia Layman left Aston Villa women's team, she would go somewhere Douglas Luiz would soon follow to the men's team. For example, Arsenal. So it's an Aston Villa duo that make the first list. And moving on to the second one, same agent as Felipe Coutinho. A lot of people don't know who this is on the screen. Well, this is Kaya Juvanan. Kaya Juvanan, or Kia Juvanan, is a very famous agent who's worked with the likes of Dani Alves, Felipe Coutinho and Douglas Luiz. And there's many more. This was the man that made it all happen for Felipe Coutinho from his move to Liverpool to Barcelona, and still works with Felipe Coutinho, who's currently in Aston Villa. Coutinho, who is Luiz's current teammate, not for much longer at Aston Villa, share the same agent. So both of the Brazilian magicians are run by this agent, and funnily enough they both ended up at the same club. Will Kia be able to strike a deal with Aston Villa to help Felipe Coutinho join on a permanent deal, or will he be helping Douglas Luiz leave for Arsenal? Who knows, but maybe the pair have a lot to thank this man for. And moving on to our third one, Villa was his first transfer. Aston Villa was Douglas Luiz's first ever transfer, proper and good. Now, later on there's another fact, so we won't reveal who he used to play for. But Aston Villa was his first transfer from his last club. Other than that, he went on loan to here and there, and Aston Villa were the first team to strike a deal with him for 15 million. The Brazilian man had never been bought before, and to be fair, he is fairly young. Since his first ever signings at Aston Villa, or first ever move should I say, he's not left Villa Park, but it's looking likely he will be leaving this summer and moving on to somewhere like Arsenal, maybe even a return to his former club. Well, for the Aston Villa man, this is a huge step to his career, as this is what got into the Brazilian team, as his old club would never play him. Interestingly enough, he's played more games for Aston Villa than anyone else that he's ever played for. The 22-year-old is fairly much enjoying his football at Aston Villa. And that brings us on to our fourth one. He used to play for City. That's right, Douglas Luiz used to play for Manchester City. Oh, wow, you weren't expecting that one. Well, if you were following Aston Villa or Manchester City at any point last year, you would have heard rumours that in Manchester City were interested in paying a release clause or a buyback fee for Douglas Luiz. As Douglas Luiz, when he left Manchester City, they cleverly put a buyback clause on him, so if he succeeded at Aston Villa, they'd be able to buy him back. Typical City. But interestingly enough, he hated every second at City and never got any playtime. He just went out on loans, and then when Aston Villa bought him, it must have felt like absolute heaven for Douglas Luiz. As you can see here, this is not even a proper game for Douglas Luiz if you look at their sponsor. And he clearly doesn't look very happy. And I feel bad for him that he had to play for Manchester City. But hey ho, he's now at a happier club, and Manchester City's buyback clause is done. which moves us on to number 5. He's Brazilian through and through. You might think that's a bit of a stupid thing to say, but Douglas Luiz is Brazilian through and through, and what we mean by that is he's never ever going to be capped by another national team. You're probably thinking, well, that's still stupid to say anyway. But as you know, there's a loads of other players, including Raheem Sterling, who's Jamaican and English, or Ashley Young, who's also English and Jamaican, or Kylian Mbappe, who's from an African country but plays for France, or Leroy Sané, who plays for Germany but is also has roots in Senegal. They all choose to play for these teams. Well, Douglas Luiz doesn't have that option. He is fully Brazilian. So unlike some other players who have loads of countries they can play for, Douglas Luiz has only had Brazil. Unluckily for him, he succeeded at under 23 level and now plays in the first team and has the shirt number 25. Lucky Luiz. And number 6, he's an expert at long range passing. Another one that probably is not really making sense. Why do you care he's a long range passer? Well, the fact is, this is why clubs are sniffing around him. As in many games in his career, he's had either a long shot, missed the target, took a free kick, which endangered the crowd, but there's one thing he can do. He can hit a long range pass. Aston Villa's defence is not very good, but he's probably one of the best central defensive midfielders, but he does not provide cover. But for the attackers, they're having a dream day with John McGinn and Douglas Luiz putting the ball through. Unfortunately for Douglas Luiz, he does not like playing in his position, which we'll go into in a minute. But he can put a long range pass in, which is what's drawing in this interest from Arsenal. And the Aston Villa man succeeds nearly every time. And finally, number 7. He hates playing in the central defence midfield position. Douglas Luiz, as we know, is a ball-playing midfielder and not a CDM, but due to Nakamba's injury this season, he's had to play there. Fans criticised him, but to be fair, he does not like playing there, and for some reason, thanks to Man City, lots of clubs will think he actually plays there, and they'll give him that position. However, we now know that his talent is better than CDM, and now that Nakamba's back, Aston Villa should be able to put Luiz back into a normal position. If you enjoyed today's very much interesting facts on Douglas Luiz, let us know by liking, sharing and subscribing.